chosen one. You are not here by accident. You did not stumble into this moment. Heaven has drawn you here because your prophetic scroll is being unsealed in perfect Kairos timing. What you are about to hear is not information, it is confirmation. Anointed one, this is the hour that was written for you before your first breath. Chosen one, you are standing at the edge of a destined moment. A sealed prophecy is opening. A long-awaited divine unlocking is unfolding today, tonight, or in the coming hours and days. You can feel it in your spirit. The restlessness, the separation, the sense that you cannot remain where you once fit. This is not rejection. This is preparation. Scripture declares in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, that there is a time for everything and a season for every purpose under heaven. Chosen one, this is your season. The appointed hour on heaven's clock has come. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, the vision awaits its appointed time, but it will surely come and will not delay. Chosen one, there is a reason rooms feel different when you walk into them. You felt it before you ever had language for it. Conversations shift. Energy tightens or quiets. People look up, not knowing why. This isn't ego. This isn't imagination. This is the weight of an assignment resting on your spirit. I remember the first time I noticed it in my own life. I would enter gatherings excited to connect, hopeful to belong, and within minutes feel eyes on me, some curious, some uneasy. No words were exchanged, yet something invisible was happening. Later, I learned this is what happens when heaven places a frequency on a person that cannot be diluted. You carry something unresolved in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere knows it. Chosen one, your presence announces that something important is near, even when nothing has been said. That is why crowds exhaust you. That is why shallow spaces drain you. Your spirit is not built for noise without meaning. You are not antisocial. You are consecrated. Many chosen ones wrestle with this early on. You want connection deeply. You want to be understood, to laugh freely, to share without guarding every word. Yet again and again, you find yourself pulling back, not because you don't care, but because being seen without being understood is more painful than solitude. That tension is not a flaw, it is a sign. There is a hidden truth few talk about. When God seals a scroll over a life, He also seals access. Not everyone can come close without consequence. Your energy presses on people's unresolved places. Without intention, without effort, you expose what has been avoided. That is why some are drawn to you and frightened at the same time. Chosen one, heaven is intervening in this season. The isolation you felt was not punishment. It was protection. There were conversations you were spared from, attachments that would have diluted your calling, environments that could not host what you carry. Scripture whispers this gently when it says, there is a time for every purpose under heaven, as written in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. You were hidden on purpose. I've walked through seasons where I questioned myself constantly. Why do I feel too much? Why do I see beneath what others accept? Why do I feel called yet alone? If you've asked those questions, hear me clearly. Now those questions are evidence that your prophetic clock has begun to tick louder. Chosen one, the intensity you carry is not personality. It is spiritual pressure from a future trying to reach you. People sense it. They may not have words for it, but their spirits recognize you as someone who cannot remain casual. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand as a signal. This is why crowds feel suffocating. In group spaces, your message gets lost, not because it lacks value, but because it requires stillness to be heard. You thrive in smaller circles, quiet moments, sacred conversations. That is not weakness, that is discernment. I want to ground this for a moment, because this isn't just mystical language, it's lived reality. Think about the last time you were in a loud social setting. How quickly did your energy drain? How fast did you begin scanning for exits, silence, or someone real to talk to? Your nervous system knows when it's misaligned. Your spirit refuses to perform where it is meant to prophesy. Chosen one, your authenticity is your compass. You can sense dishonesty instantly because you are built for truth. You are not here to entertain illusions. You are here to break them gently, sometimes painfully, but always purposefully. Right now, something is activating. The reason you are hearing this message at this moment is because your hidden scroll is being touched. The call you've carried quietly is stepping closer to manifestation. And with that activation comes clarity. Not everyone can go where you are going. This part of the journey requires surrender, not to loneliness, but to alignment. You are being repositioned into spaces that can sustain you, not consume you. Into relationships that recognize your depth, not fear it. Into assignments that require your full presence, not fragments of it. Chosen one, take a breath here. Let this settle. You are not strange. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are early. You are aligned. And this is only the beginning of what is being revealed. Chosen one. There is another layer to this solitude that rarely gets named, yet it shapes your daily life more than you realize. It is not only that others feel overwhelmed by your presence, it is that your spirit refuses to live at surface level anymore. Small talk feels heavy, repetition feels draining. You sense when conversations are circling instead of moving forward, and something inside you quietly steps back. This is not arrogance, this is alignment. When heaven places depth inside a person, it becomes impossible to pretend that shallow spaces are enough. I have known what it feels like to sit among people and still feel completely alone. Laughter around me, noise filling the room, yet my spirit felt untouched, unseen, unspoken to. That loneliness taught me something: sacred proximity does not equal connection. Chosen one, you are wired for resonance, not crowds. Your soul listens for truth beneath words, for intention beneath smiles, for integrity beneath performance. When it does not find it, your energy naturally retreats to preserve itself. There is a reason people feel both drawn to you and unsettled by you. Your presence acts like a mirror. Without trying, without speaking, you reflect back what others have hidden from themselves. This is why some admire you from a distance, while others withdraw without explanation. Being near you invites honesty, and not everyone is willing to pay that price. You remind people of who they are becoming, or who they have avoided becoming, and that awareness can be uncomfortable. Chosen one. This is where the misunderstanding begins. Many assume your solitude means rejection, aloofness, or emotional distance. They do not see the inner war you fight to remain open in a world that prefers masks. Your heart is not closed, it is guarded. There is a difference. You have learned, sometimes painfully, that not every environment deserves access to your spirit. This wisdom did not come cheaply. It was forged through disappointment, betrayal, and moments where your openness was misunderstood or mishandled. Heaven has been training your discernment quietly. You feel when a space is wrong before your mind can explain why. You sense when a relationship will require you to shrink to belong. and something holy rises in you that says no, not out of fear, but out of obedience to the call within. This is the hidden cost of carrying light. Light reveals, light exposes, and light attracts both admiration and resistance. There were seasons when I questioned why connection felt so hard, why being myself seemed to create distance instead of closeness. Over time, I realized it was not that I was too intense, but that I was becoming too honest for environments built on avoidance. Chosen one. You are not losing people. You are outgrowing frequencies. As your inner alignment sharpens, anything misaligned naturally falls away. This is not a season to force belonging. It is a season to trust separation. There is a divine intelligence guiding who stays and who steps back. Scripture alludes to this gently when it speaks of vision unfolding at the appointed time, as written in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. Timing matters. Exposure matters. Some connections are premature, others expired. Chosen. One, the quiet you crave is not emptiness, it is preparation. In solitude, your spirit recalibrates. Your thoughts settle, your discernment strengthens. You begin to hear guidance that was drowned out by noise before. This is where clarity is born. This is where courage is refined. And this is where you remember who you are without outside influence. Do not mistake this narrowing for loss. It is refinement. Heaven is not removing people to punish you. It is clearing space so what is true can finally reach you. Stay with this process. Honor the stillness. You are not falling behind. You are being aligned. Chosen one, allow yourself grace as this unfolding continues. You're learning to trust your inner witness, to listen before reacting, to move when peace confirms the step. This maturity does not announce itself loudly, but it carries authority. As you honor it, your path becomes clearer, quieter, and unmistakably guided by something greater than human approval, alone within you. Chosen one. As your path narrows, something else begins to surface, an internal reckoning that cannot be avoided. This is the moment when you realize that your solitude is not just circumstantial, it is instructional. You are being taught how to stand without leaning, how to listen without echo, how to remain anchored when approval is absent. Many never reach this stage because they confuse loneliness with failure. You are being invited to see it as initiation. There is a sacred discomfort that comes when old coping mechanisms stop working. Distraction no longer soothes you. Constant interaction no longer fills you. Even validation, when it comes, feels hollow. This is not because you are ungrateful, but because your spirit has matured past surface rewards. You are no longer fed by noise. You are nourished by alignment, and alignment often requires distance from what once felt familiar. I have walked through seasons where silence felt unbearable at first. Without the mirrors of other people, I was forced to confront myself fully, my fears, my motives, my unresolved wounds, my unspoken hopes. It was uncomfortable, but it was honest. Chosen. One, solitude strips illusion gently but firmly. It shows you who you are when no one is watching and no one is applauding. This is where integrity is forged. You may notice that your tolerance for inauthenticity has dropped sharply. Situations you once endured politely now drain you quickly. Conversations that revolve around gossip, competition, or superficial success leave you restless. This is not judgment, it is discernment refining itself. Your spirit recognizes when energy is being wasted instead of invested, and it quietly withdraws to preserve what matters. This withdrawal is often misunderstood by others. Some may accuse you of changing. Others may say you have become distant or hard to reach. Let them speak. They are responding to the version of you that no longer exists. Growth always confuses those who benefited from your former accessibility. You are not obligated to remain who you were to keep others comfortable. Chosen. There is also grief in this stage. Grief for friendships that faded without closure. Grief for communities that no longer fit. Grief for versions of yourself that tried so hard to belong. Allow this grief. It does not mean you made the wrong choice. It means you cared deeply. Even Jesus withdrew often, not because he lacked love, but because he understood rhythm. There are moments to pour out and moments to be poured into. As solitude deepens, something unexpected happens. Your inner voice grows clearer. You begin to trust your intuition without second-guessing it. Decisions that once took weeks now settle in moments. Peace becomes your compass. Not excitement, not fear. Peace. This is how you begin to move differently through the world. Slower but surer. Quieter but stronger. Chosen one. You are learning how to carry your calling without explaining it. This is critical. Not everyone needs to understand what God is doing in you. Some things are meant to be revealed later when fruit speaks louder than words. In this season, obedience matters more than visibility. Alignment matters more than applause. You may feel an internal pull toward purpose that feels almost urgent. A sense that time is compressing, that distractions are more costly now. This is not anxiety. This is Kairos awareness. Heaven is sharpening your focus. What once felt optional now feels essential. What once felt heavy now feels necessary. Stay with this narrowing. It is not shrinking your life. It is concentrating it. Like light passing through a lens, your focus is being refined so your impact can be precise. You are being prepared to stand in spaces where your presence will not overwhelm but heal, where your depth will not intimidate but awaken, where your truth will not isolate but liberate. Chosen one. This is not the end of connection. It is the end of compromise. And that distinction will matter more than you know as your journey continues. Chosen one. There comes a moment when solitude stops feeling like separation and starts feeling like clarity. This shift is subtle but unmistakable. You wake up one day and realize you are no longer waiting to be understood. You are no longer searching rooms for someone to mirror your depth. Something inside you has settled. You have made peace with who you are becoming, even if few can see it yet. This is where strength takes root, quietly. Not the loud strength that proves itself, but the grounded strength that knows itself. You stop over-explaining. You stop justifying your boundaries. You stop chasing resonance in places that only offer recognition. Your energy becomes intentional, your time becomes sacred, your yes becomes rare, and your no becomes clean without guilt or resentment. I remember the relief of this stage. The exhaustion lifted, the constant internal negotiation ended. I no longer felt the need to translate myself into smaller language so others could digest me. I allowed myself to be whole, even if it meant being alone more often. That choice did not shrink my life. It expanded it inward, first, then outward, in unexpected ways. Chosen one. When you honor your nature, the right connections begin to find you organically, not in crowds, but in alignment, not through effort, but through timing. These connections feel different. They do not rush intimacy. They respect silence. They recognize depth without fear. You do not feel drained after engaging with them. You feel seen, steady, and strengthened. This is why heaven has been selective with your environment. You are not meant to be everywhere. You are meant to be effective, and effectiveness requires focus. Too many voices dilute clarity. Too much access weakens authority. You are learning to steward your presence, not scatter it. There is also a deeper trust forming now. Trust in divine timing. Trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Trust that you do not need to chase alignment. Alignment will meet you when preparation is complete. Scripture hints at this rhythm when it speaks of the Lord making things happen at the right time. That timing is not rushed. It is precise. Chosen one, your sensitivity is no longer a liability. It has become a tool. You feel atmospheres quickly, but you are no longer overwhelmed by them. You observe without absorbing. You engage without entangling. This is mastery, not detachment. You are learning how to walk through the world without carrying its weight unnecessarily. You may notice that your compassion has deepened, but your tolerance for chaos has decreased. You care deeply, but you no longer rescue. You listen, but you do not lose yourself. This balance is rare. It is the mark of someone who has integrated solitude rather than escaped into it. As this integration completes, your role becomes clearer. You are not here to convince everyone. You are here to be a signal. Those who are ready will recognize you. Those who are not will pass by. Both are okay. Your assignment does not require universal acceptance. It requires obedience. Chosen one, there is a quiet confidence growing in you now. Not pride. Assurance. You know what drains you and what fuels you. You know when to engage and when to withdraw. You know the difference between isolation and consecration. This knowledge will protect you in seasons ahead. Do not rush yourself back into noise to prove you are healed. Wholeness does not need witnesses. It simply lives. As you continue forward, your solitude will no longer feel like something to explain. It will feel like home base. A place you return to for recalibration, not retreat. Chosen one, you were never meant to disappear. You were meant to emerge whole. And everything about this journey, every quiet moment, every misunderstood withdrawal, every boundary honored has been shaping you for a life that is not crowded, but deeply aligned. Chosen one. There is a deeper initiation unfolding now, one that happens quietly beneath awareness, while life appears ordinary on the surface. This is the phase where solitude stops being something you endure and becomes something you steward. You begin to recognize that your energy is not just sensitive, it is valuable. You feel the cost of every interaction more clearly, not because you are fragile, but because you are finally awake to what you carry. Every conversation, every environment, every relationship either feeds the assignment or pulls from it. There was a time when you tried to override this knowing. You told yourself you were being dramatic, antisocial, too spiritual, too intense. You forced yourself to stay longer, to explain more, to compromise your inner signals so you wouldn't appear different. And each time you paid for it later, in exhaustion, confusion, or emotional fog. Chosen one. Those experiences were not failures, they were training. You were learning the consequences of ignoring your inner witness. Now something has shifted. You no longer need to test what drains you. You already know. You feel it immediately in your body, in your breath, in the way your thoughts scatter. This awareness is not meant to isolate you, it is meant to guide you. Heaven does not give sensitivity without responsibility, and you are stepping into responsibility now. There is also a refinement happening in how you see people. You no longer categorize them as good or bad, safe or unsafe. You see alignment instead. You recognize that some people are meant for seasons, not journeys. Others are meant to receive from you but not walk with you. This clarity removes resentment. You stop taking distance personally, yours or theirs. You understand that alignment is not rejection, it is accuracy. I have seen how this stage reshapes priorities. Invitations lose their power. External urgency fades. You stop running on borrowed momentum and begin moving from inner conviction. This is where many chosen ones feel misunderstood by those closest to them. You may hear, "You've changed," or "You're not as available anymore," and they're right. You have changed. You have become unavailable to what costs you your center. Chosen one. This is where the hidden scroll begins to press forward more insistently. Purpose is no longer abstract. It becomes directional. You feel nudges to create, to build, to study, to prepare. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. You sense that your time is no longer casual. There is a gravity to your days now. This is not pressure, it is calling. Solitude becomes the place where clarity sharpens. In quiet moments, insights come unforced. Solutions arrive without striving. You begin to see patterns you missed before, both in your life and in the world around you. This is one of the gifts of separation perspective. When you step back from noise, truth becomes visible. You may also notice an increase in compassion during this phase. Not the kind that rushes in to fix, but the kind that understands without absorbing. You can sit with others' pain without being swallowed by it. This is a sign of maturity. You are no longer trying to save everyone. You are learning when your presence is assignment and when it is distraction. Chosen one. This stage requires trust. Trust that you are not missing out. Trust that what is meant to meet you will do so in its time. Trust that heaven's delays are not denials. Scripture hints at this when it speaks of the Lord acting at the right time, not a rushed one. You are being taught patience without passivity. As this trust deepens, your inner life stabilizes. Emotional swings soften. Anxiety loosens its grip. You feel more anchored even when circumstances remain uncertain. This is because your foundation is no longer external. It is rooted in alignment. And alignment creates peace that does not depend on explanation. Chosen one. The solitude you once questioned is becoming the ground where authority grows. Not authority over others, but authority within yourself. You know who you are. You know what you carry. And you know what you will no longer trade for belonging. This knowing will protect you in ways you cannot yet see. Chosen one. As this season matures, something subtle but powerful begins to emerge: self-trust. Not the kind built on ego or certainty, but the quiet confidence that comes from repeated alignment. You have watched yourself choose peace over pressure, truth over approval, obedience over comfort. And each time something inside you strengthened. You no longer question every instinct. You listen, you weigh, you move. This is where solitude integrates into daily life, rather than standing apart from it. You are no longer withdrawing because you are overwhelmed. You are choosing wisely where to invest your presence. There is a difference. You can now enter spaces without losing yourself and leave without guilt. You understand that rest is not retreat, it is rhythm. I remember when this balance finally settled for me. I could sit with people even in busy environments without absorbing the chaos. I no longer felt the need to rescue conversations or fill silence. I trusted that what needed to be said would surface and what didn't could remain unsaid. That shift was freedom. Chosen one. This freedom is becoming available to you now. You may notice that your inner world feels richer than your outer one at times. Ideas form, visions clarify, longings take shape. This is not escapism, this is incubation. Seeds grow best underground. Heaven often works invisibly before anything becomes visible. You are learning to honor unseen growth without rushing exposure. There is also a refinement happening in your relationship with purpose. You stop romanticizing it. You see the cost more clearly, but you also see the fulfillment. Purpose no longer feels like something you chase. It feels like something you cooperate with. You show up, do the work in front of you, and trust timing to unfold what you cannot force. Chosen one, you are becoming more selective not just with people, but with thoughts, commitments, and expectations. You notice when your mind drifts toward comparison or urgency, and you gently bring it back. This discipline is not rigid, it is relational. You are learning to listen inwardly before reacting outwardly. As this deepens, your solitude becomes a place of renewal rather than rumination. You no longer replay old conversations endlessly or rehearse imaginary outcomes. You stay present. You rest in what is real. This is healing, not dramatic, but lasting. There may still be moments when loneliness surfaces. Do not fear them. Loneliness does not mean you are off track. It simply means you are human. Let it pass through without assigning meaning to it. You aren't meant to feel complete at every moment. You are meant to remain aligned. Chosen one. The more you honor this alignment, the more life begins to respond differently. Opportunities align without forcing. Connections emerge naturally. You find yourself in conversations that feel nourishing rather than draining. These are signs, not rewards. Signs that you are moving in rhythm with something greater than personal desire. You may not yet see the full shape of where this is leading, and that is okay. You were never meant to see the entire path at once. You were meant to walk it faithfully. Each step taken in integrity builds trust for the next. There is a steadiness forming in you now that others will notice before you do. They may describe you as calm, grounded, centered. What they are sensing is integration. You are no longer split between who you are and who you think you should be. This wholeness is rare. It is also magnetic in quiet ways. Chosen one. As you continue forward, remember this: you were never meant to be surrounded by many voices. You were meant to hear one clearly. Everything about this journey has been teaching you how to listen, how to wait, how to move without noise. And as you do, your life becomes less crowded, but more meaningful. Less busy, but more directed. Less explained, but more true. Chosen one. There comes a season when the inner quiet you've cultivated begins to change how you experience the world entirely. You no longer feel at odds with it, yet you're no longer shaped by it either. You move through days with an unusual awareness, sensing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to step forward and when to wait. This awareness is not hesitation. It is discernment refined by experience. You have learned that timing is as sacred as action, and that moving too early can be as costly as not moving at all. There was a time when you mistook stillness for stagnation. You wondered if your life was paused while others advanced. You questioned whether your quiet seasons meant you were falling behind. But chosen one's stillness has been training your perception. While others rushed to fill space, you were learning to read signs, patterns, and subtle shifts. You were learning to hear what is not said and see what is not shown. This depth cannot be rushed into existence. As this awareness matures, you begin to sense when environments are misaligned long before conflict appears. You feel it in the way your body tightens, in the way your thoughts lose coherence, in the way your spirit quietly resists engagement. You no longer override these signals, you honor them. This honoring is self-respect born of wisdom, not fear. You have learned that peace is not passive, it is protective. I have seen how this phase changes relationships. You stop explaining your inner world to those who cannot hear it. You stop translating your depth into language that feels foreign to you. Instead, you allow understanding to be mutual or non-existent. This does not make you cold. It makes you honest. Chosen. One, honesty with yourself creates clarity with others, even when that clarity brings distance. There is also a deepening humility that arrives here. You realize how little control you actually have over outcomes, and how much control you do have over alignment. You stop trying to manage perception. You stop forcing coherence where there is none. You allow things to unfold as they will, trusting that what is meant to remain will withstand truth without persuasion. Your solitude now carries a different quality. It is no longer reactive, it is intentional. You choose it not because the world overwhelms you, but because it centers you. In quiet moments, you reflect rather than escape. You integrate rather than withdraw. This is where insight becomes embodied wisdom, not just understanding. Chosen one. This is also the stage where your patience is tested subtly, not through obvious delays, but through invitations that almost fit. Opportunities that look good, but feel slightly off. Connections that offer comfort, but not alignment. This is where discernment becomes crucial. You are learning to trust the unease that cannot yet be explained. You are learning that almost right is often more dangerous than clearly wrong. Scripture speaks gently to this rhythm when it describes waiting for the right time, not forcing fulfillment before readiness. You feel this now. You sense that what is coming requires you to be fully rooted, not partially prepared. This awareness keeps you from settling prematurely. It protects you from shortcuts that would cost you depth later. You may notice that your desires themselves are changing. What once excited you now feels empty. What once felt impossible now feels necessary. You crave substance, not stimulation. Contribution, not applause. Impact, not visibility. This shift is not accidental. It is evidence that your internal compass is recalibrating toward purpose rather than performance. Chosen one. As this recalibration continues, your solitude becomes fertile ground. Ideas arrive quietly, callings clarify gently. You feel drawn to learn to refine skills to deepen understanding. This preparation may not look impressive from the outside, but it is profound on the inside. You are building capacity, not image. There will be moments when doubt whispers again, when old fears resurface, asking if this path is worth the cost. Let those moments pass through without anchoring to them. Doubt is not a sign you are wrong. It is often a sign you are nearing something meaningful. Stay anchored to what you know, not what you fear. Chosen. 1. This stage is about becoming unshakable without becoming rigid, open without being exposed, present without being depleted. These balances take time to learn, and you are learning them now, quietly, faithfully, without needing witnesses. As you move forward, trust that this deepening is not delaying your life. It is strengthening it. You are not meant to rush into the next chapter unprepared. You are meant to enter it whole. And everything about this season is shaping that wholeness, layer by layer, breath by breath, choice by choice. Chosen one. There is a quiet authority that begins to settle into you once this integration stabilizes. It is not announced, it is felt. You carry yourself differently now, not because you are trying to project confidence, but because you no longer need to seek it. Your movements are calmer, your words are fewer but weightier. Your reactions are slower but wiser. This authority is not learned from books or borrowed from others. It is earned through alignment. You may notice that people respond to you differently. Some approach with curiosity, others with caution. You are no longer invisible, yet you are not chasing attention either. Your presence carries clarity, and clarity can be unsettling for those still living in confusion. This is not your burden to manage. You are not responsible for how others interpret your steadiness. You are responsible for maintaining it. I remember the moment I realized I no longer needed to prove anything. It came quietly, without ceremony. I simply stopped explaining myself mid-sentence and felt relief instead of fear. That relief was truth settling in. Chosen one, you are nearing that same ease. The need to be understood by everyone is dissolving. In its place is a deeper trust that those who matter will recognize you without persuasion. Your solitude now functions as a grounding point rather than an escape. When life intensifies, you return inward briefly, recalibrate, and re-engage. You no longer disappear for long stretches out of overwhelm. You step back intentionally to restore clarity. This rhythm allows you to remain present in the world without being consumed by it. There is also a refinement in how you relate to struggle. You no longer dramatize it or minimize it. You meet challenges directly without assigning meaning too quickly. You ask better questions now. What is this teaching me? What is being shaped here? What requires patience instead of reaction? This maturity changes outcomes more than effort ever could. Chosen one, your inner dialogue has softened as well. You are kinder with yourself. You recognize when exhaustion is a signal, not a failure. When resistance is guidance, not rebellion. You honor your limits without shame. This self-compassion strengthens your discernment rather than weakening it. As this compassion grows, so does your capacity to hold others without losing yourself. You listen deeply, but you do not absorb. You care sincerely, but you do not carry what is not yours. This balance allows you to show up more consistently, not less. You are no longer drained by empathy. You are sustained by clarity. There may still be moments when the old longing for easy connection surfaces. Moments when you wish you could blend in, be lighter, feel less. Allow those moments without judgment. They do not negate your path. They remind you that depth always carries weight. And weight, when carried consciously, becomes strength. Chosen one. The world often celebrates speed, visibility, and constant motion. Your life is teaching you another metric: alignment, depth, and timing. You are learning that effectiveness is not measured by how much you do, but by how precisely you move. One aligned step now carries more impact than 10 rushed ones before. You may sense that your future interactions will be fewer but more consequential. Fewer conversations but deeper ones. Fewer commitments but lasting ones. This is not limitation, it is focus. Your energy is being conserved for what truly matters. As this focus sharpens, your intuition becomes less reactive and more steady. You no longer feel pulled in multiple directions. Choices simplify. Not because life is easier, but because your values are clearer. You know what you will not sacrifice, and that knowledge streamlines decision-making in powerful ways. Oh, chosen one. There is nothing accidental about this journey. Every season of solitude, every misunderstood withdrawal, every boundary honored has been teaching you how to carry responsibility without losing yourself. This responsibility may take many forms in the future, but its foundation is being laid now. Do not rush to define what this all means. Meaning will emerge through living, not analyzing. Continue to listen. Continue to honor what brings peace. Continue to choose alignment over appearance. Your life does not need to look impressive to be deeply effective. As you walk forward, trust that this quiet authority will guide you naturally into spaces where your presence is not questioned but welcomed, where your depth is not feared but valued, where your truth is not disruptive but necessary. Chosen one. You are becoming someone who does not need crowds to feel significant, noise to feel alive, or approval to feel anchored. You are learning to stand fully in yourself, and that is a rare and powerful position. Everything ahead will meet you there, in alignment, in timing, and in truth. Chosen one. There is a threshold you eventually cross where solitude no longer feels like something that happened to you, but something you consciously carry with dignity. This is where your inner world and outer life begin to cooperate instead of compete. You are no longer torn between wanting connection and needing space. You understand now that space is what allows connection to be meaningful. Without it, you would dissolve into expectation, obligation, and noise. With it, you remain intact. At this stage, you begin to recognize how deeply conditioned the world is to equate worth with visibility. You see how often people gather not for connection, but for distraction, not for truth, but for relief from silence. And chosen one, silence no longer threatens you. You have sat with it long enough to know it is not empty. It is full of information, alignment, and instruction. This alone sets you apart more than any gift or talent ever could. There was a time when you feared that being selective meant being selfish, that honoring your limits meant letting others down. But experience has taught you otherwise. You have seen how saying yes when your spirit said no led to resentment, exhaustion, and quiet self-betrayal. You have felt the cost of being accessible to everyone and present to no one. That cost reshaped you. It taught you that availability without alignment is not love, it is leakage. Chosen one, you now understand that your energy is not infinite, it is sacred. And what is sacred must be handled intentionally. This realization does not make you closed, it makes you trustworthy. Because when you do show up, you are fully there. When you speak, your words carry coherence. When you commit, your presence is reliable. You're no longer scattered across too many spaces to be effective in any of them. I want to speak to the subtle grief that can surface here, because even maturity carries loss. You may grieve the ease you once had with people, the spontaneity, the illusion that everyone could come along. You may miss versions of yourself that were lighter, more flexible, less discerning. Let that grief breathe without dragging you backward. You did not lose innocence. You gained wisdom. And wisdom always asks for discernment in return. Chosen one. As you mature in this discernment, you begin to see that many people are not rejecting you. They are responding to themselves in your presence. Your steadiness highlights their instability. Your honesty exposes their avoidance. Your calm unsettles their chaos. This was never your intention, but it is an effect you must accept without apology. Light does not argue for its right to shine. It simply does. You also begin to recognize that solitude has given you an internal anchor. When life becomes unpredictable, you do not panic. When plans change, you adjust without losing center. When uncertainty appears, you wait rather than react. This steadiness did not come from control. It came from surrender, from releasing the need to manage outcomes and choosing instead to manage alignment. There is a moment in this phase where you stop asking, "Why am I like this?" and begin asking, "How do I steward this well?" That shift is profound. It moves you out of self-analysis and into responsibility. You stop trying to fix your nature and start honoring it. You realize you were not designed to fit everywhere. You were designed to function precisely. Chosen. 1. This precision will begin to show itself in your daily rhythms. Your mornings matter more, your rest becomes non-negotiable, your boundaries become quiet and firm. You no longer announce changes, you embody them. You let your life speak where explanations once lived. This embodiment carries authority without effort. You may notice that fewer people have access to you now, but those who do experience something different. Conversations deepen quickly. Silence feels comfortable. There is mutual respect rather than performance. These interactions are not frequent, but they are nourishing. They do not leave you questioning yourself afterward. They leave you clearer. At the same time, you may find that some doors simply stop opening. Invitations slow. Messages fade. This is not punishment. It is alignment completing its work. What once required constant maintenance is no longer sustained by your energy, and rather than chasing it, you allow it to go. This acceptance is not resignation. It is trust. Chosen 1. You are learning to live without forcing narrative. You no longer need to label every season or define every transition. You allow meaning to emerge through experience rather than analysis. This patience creates space for insight that cannot be rushed. You see patterns over time instead of reacting to moments. Your inner dialogue has changed too. It is quieter, more spacious. You no longer interrogate every feeling. You listen, you discern, you respond. This emotional regulation is not suppression. It is mastery. You are no longer ruled by internal weather. You observe it and move accordingly. There is also a growing sense of responsibility that accompanies this maturity. Not responsibility to fix the world, but responsibility to remain honest within it. You understand now that your greatest contribution is not constant output, but consistent alignment. When you are aligned, your presence alone recalibrates spaces. When you are misaligned, even your efforts fall flat. Chosen 1. You are beginning to sense that your future influence will not come from being everywhere, but from being exactly where you are meant to be. At the right time, with the right people, saying the right things, or sometimes nothing at all. This is not passivity. It is precision guided by wisdom. You may still encounter moments of doubt, moments when the old question resurfaces, "Am I doing enough?" When it does return to what you know, you are not here to keep up. You are here to stay true. And staying true often looks quiet before it looks effective. As this truth settles deeper, you feel less urgency to explain yourself to those who do not understand. You stop rehearsing conversations that never need to happen. You release the need for closure that only comes from within. This freedom lightens you in ways you did not expect. Chosen 1. Your solitude has not been about isolation. It has been about integration. About becoming one with yourself instead of divided by expectation. And now, from that integration, your life begins to move with a coherence that cannot be imitated. You are no longer asking where you belong. You are becoming a place of belonging within yourself, and from that place, everything that is meant to meet you will do so naturally, without force, without chasing, without compromise. Stay with this steadiness, honor this depth, trust this rhythm. You are not late, you are not lost, you are exactly where someone who carries weight must be, before that weight can be carried without damage. Chosen one. This is not the loudest chapter of your story, but it is one of the most important, because it is here in the quiet strength you are cultivating now that everything ahead will find its foundation. Chosen one. There is a quiet confidence now settling into you that does not need reinforcement from the outside world. You feel it in the way you make decisions, in how quickly you recognize what is misaligned, and in how calmly you walk away from what once would have pulled at you. This confidence is not loud or performative. It is rooted. It comes from knowing yourself through seasons of separation, reflection, and refinement. You are no longer surprised by your own need for space. You no longer argue with it. You plan your life around it. Your days begin to reflect your values rather than your obligations. Rest becomes intentional. Solitude becomes restorative. Connection becomes selective. This is not withdrawal from life. It is engagement with it on your own terms. There was a time when you felt guilty for needing what others did not. You questioned whether something was wrong with you for feeling drained in crowds or disconnected in constant interaction. Now you see that nothing was wrong. You were simply built differently. Your nervous system, your spirit, your awareness all require depth to function well. Once you stopped resisting this truth, life became less exhausting. Chosen one. This stage brings a gentle settling. You stop scanning the horizon for what might be missing. You become present with what is. Gratitude replaces striving. Curiosity replaces anxiety. You are no longer trying to become someone else. You are learning how to live as yourself without apology. You may notice that your reactions to others have softened. You are less triggered by misunderstanding because you no longer need universal agreement. You understand that not everyone has access to the same inner language you do. This understanding creates compassion without compromise. You can respect differences without abandoning your own truth. As this peace stabilizes, your influence becomes quieter but more consistent. You may not speak often, but when you do, people listen. You may not seek leadership, but it finds you naturally. This is the paradox of alignment. When you stop trying to lead, you become trustworthy to follow. Chosen one, your solitude has prepared you to carry responsibility without being consumed by it. You know how to return to center when life demands more of you. You know how to protect your energy without building walls. You know how to be present without being porous. These skills will matter more than you realize in seasons ahead. Do not rush to define the future. You do not need a full picture to move faithfully. Continue honoring what brings clarity. Continue choosing what brings peace. Continue listening to the quiet guidance that has never failed you. This chapter is not about expansion yet. It is about stabilization, about living from the inside out, about trusting that what is meant to grow will do so naturally when roots are strong. Chosen one, you are no longer asking permission to be who you are. You are simply being, and that in itself is a powerful shift. Chosen one. As this journey continues, you begin to notice a subtle but profound shift in how you relate to time itself. You are no longer rushing to arrive somewhere undefined, nor are you clinging to the past for certainty. Instead, you move with a steady awareness that each moment carries its own instruction. You listen more carefully now, not just to words, but to timing. You sense when to act and when to wait, and you no longer confuse stillness with stagnation. There was a season when impatience whispered that you were behind, that life should look fuller, louder, more impressive by now. But that voice has softened. Experience has taught you that fullness does not come from accumulation. It comes from coherence. You have seen how quickly noise fades and how slowly integrity builds. That knowledge has changed how you measure progress. Chosen one, your solitude has rewired your relationship with validation. Praise no longer lifts you unnaturally high, and criticism no longer pulls you deeply low. You receive feedback without losing center. You discern what is useful and release what is not. This emotional steadiness is not indifference. It is resilience shaped by self-awareness. You may notice that your inner world feels more spacious than before. Thoughts pass through without demanding immediate reaction. Emotions surface without overwhelming you. This spaciousness allows insight to arise naturally. Solutions appear without forcing. You trust this process because you have lived its reliability. As this trust grows, you begin to live more simply, even if your life appears complex on the surface. You do fewer things, but you do them with intention. You speak less, but your words carry clarity. You commit selectively, and when you do, your presence is whole. This simplicity is not minimalism. It is focus. Chosen one. You are also learning how to be alone without being lonely. There is a difference, and you feel it now. Loneliness carries longing without direction. Aloneness carries peace without distraction. In moments of quiet, you are no longer restless. You are receptive. This receptivity opens space for creativity, insight, and subtle guidance that was previously drowned out. You may find yourself drawn to learning, reflecting, refining skills, or deepening understanding in ways that feel personal rather than performative. You are not preparing to impress anyone. You are preparing to be ready. Ready for conversations that matter. Ready for responsibilities that require discernment. Ready for opportunities that will not announce themselves loudly. Chosen one. Your boundaries have matured as well. They are no longer defensive. They are clear. You do not explain them extensively, and you do not enforce them aggressively. You simply live by them. Those who respect them remain. Those who do not naturally fall away. This clarity creates peace rather than conflict. There may still be moments when the old urge to overextend surfaces, especially when you care deeply or see potential in others. When that urge appears, you pause. You ask yourself whether this engagement aligns with your energy and purpose, or whether it pulls you away from center. This pause has become a powerful practice. It protects you from repeating old patterns under new disguises. Chosen one. You are becoming someone who values sustainability over intensity. You understand now that burning brightly for a moment is less valuable than shining steadily over time. This long-view perspective changes everything. You plan differently. You pace yourself. You honor rest as much as effort. As this steadiness deepens, your presence becomes quietly grounding to others. People may not know why they feel calmer around you, but they do. You bring coherence into spaces simply by being regulated within yourself. This is influence without intention, leadership without title. You are not trying to change anyone. You are not trying to convince anyone. You are living in alignment, and alignment speaks for itself. This way of being is subtle, but it is powerful. It cannot be faked or forced. Chosen one. As you move forward, remember that this journey has never been about isolation. It has been about integration, about becoming whole enough within yourself that connection becomes a choice, not a need. From this place, you will engage the world differently, with clarity, with compassion, with strength that does not need to prove itself. You are not waiting for life to begin. You are already living it deeply, intentionally, and truthfully. And that is more than enough. Chosen one. As this chapter reaches its quiet completion, you may notice that your life no longer feels fragmented. The constant tension between who you are and how you live has softened. You are not performing alignment anymore. You are inhabiting it. This is the fruit of every season of withdrawal, every boundary honored, every moment you chose truth over comfort. What once felt like separation has become coherence. You move now with an inner agreement that did not exist before. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions are no longer pulling in different directions. When decisions arise, you feel them settle instead of spiral. When uncertainty appears, you meet it with curiosity rather than fear. This stability did not arrive suddenly. It was built quietly, choice by choice, when no one was watching. Chosen one. You are beginning to trust yourself in a new way, not blindly, but wisely. You have seen what happens when you ignore your inner signals, and you have seen what unfolds when you honor them. This lived evidence has become your confidence. You no longer outsource authority over your life. You listen, discern, and act from within. There is a gentleness that accompanies this stage. You are softer with yourself, and as a result, softer with others. You no longer demand perfection from your process. You allow growth to be uneven, human, real. When you stumble, you recover without self-punishment. When you succeed, you remain grounded. This emotional maturity protects you from extremes. You may also sense that your relationship with solitude has fully transformed. It is no longer something you enter because you are overwhelmed, but something you return to because it restores you. Solitude has become a place of recalibration, not escape. From it, you engage life with clarity rather than depletion. Chosen one. Your awareness of energy has deepened. You notice when your body asks for rest, when your spirit asks for quiet, when your mind asks for simplicity. You respond rather than override. This responsiveness keeps you aligned over the long term. It allows you to sustain what you build instead of burning out under it. As this alignment stabilizes, your life begins to feel less reactive and more intentional. You are not constantly responding to circumstances. You are shaping your days with presence. Small choices matter more to you now. How you begin your morning, what you give your attention to, who you allow into your inner world. These details create a life that feels grounded rather than rushed. Chosen one. There is also a release happening here. You are letting go of the need to be seen as anything in particular. You no longer curate your life for understanding. You live it. This freedom removes a subtle pressure you may not have realized you were carrying. You stop explaining yourself to imagined audiences. You become present with what is real. You may find that joy appears more quietly now, not in dramatic highs, but in steady satisfaction, in moments of clarity, in meaningful conversations, in deep rest. This joy is not dependent on circumstances. It flows from congruence, from living in a way that honors your nature. As you look ahead, you may not see a clear map, and that is okay. You are no longer anxious about certainty. You trust timing. You trust process. You trust that what is meant to meet you will do so when readiness and opportunity align. This trust allows you to remain open without chasing. Chosen one, you are not emerging louder. You are emerging clearer, not more visible, but more rooted. This clarity will guide you naturally into what comes next without force or confusion. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to prove. You only need to remain aligned. This is not the end of your journey. It is the end of unnecessary struggle. From here, your life unfolds with less resistance, not because challenges disappear, but because you meet them from a place of wholeness. Stay with this groundedness. Honor this clarity. Continue listening to the quiet wisdom that has carried you this far. You are not meant to return to who you were. You are meant to live fully as who you have become. Chosen one, as this message comes to rest in your spirit, take a moment to breathe and honor what has been stirred within you. You are not drawn to this word by chance. You arrived here because a sealed chapter of your life is opening and your hidden scroll is being revealed in perfect Kairos timing. This is your appointed hour, the moment written for you long before you had language for it. Anointed one. The path you walk has never been crowded because it was never meant to be. Heaven set you apart, not to isolate you, but to preserve the depth, clarity, and authority you now carry. What once felt like separation is being redeemed as preparation. What once felt like silence is now speaking with precision. Trust that nothing in your journey has been wasted. As you move forward from this moment, remain faithful to what brings you peace. Stay aligned with the quiet guidance that has led you this far. Do not rush the unfolding. Heaven's timing is exact, and what is meant to manifest will do so with clarity and power. The weight you carry is not a burden, it is a calling, and you have been strengthened to carry it well. Chosen one, may your steps be ordered, your discernment remain sharp, and your spirit stay anchored in truth. May you walk with gratitude for what has been revealed and confidence for what is yet to come. You are seen, you are known, you are appointed for this hour. If this word resonated with you, you are welcome to share your reflection below so others may find confirmation and courage through your journey. And if you feel led, remain connected here as we continue to uncover what heaven has written about you. Go in peace, stay aligned, and walk boldly into what is unfolding now.